It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you.
These Republicans in Washington have it's driven your prices higher, and it's driven your interest rates to the point where you can't afford. I met a young fella in Iowa. He had graduated college a couple years ago, and he's like, Governor, I don't have a chance. I'm gainfully employed. He's like, I have no chance to afford a home and start a family. That is taking the American dream away from people. So we're going to get the inflation down. We're going to get the interest rates down. We are going to reduce spending, and I will be willing to veto, and I vetoed a lot as governor of Florida. And
Bro, this is, you know, you know how bad things are for these fucking debates when News Nation was like, is hosting it.
Yeah, I guess we'll do it. We got nothing else.
It's just like, this is literally like Fox dropped you at this point, and you're, oh my God. Like, isn't this, News Nation is like, is Chris Cuomo's network, right? The one network that
I'm going to get to the root cause of the problem. These student loans are going to be backed by the universities because they need to have an incentive to produce gainful employment for people. They should not be indulging in ideological studies. They should be focusing on things that work. And we're going to take some of this money and we're going to move it to
He's also been so cucked, though.
training.
Chris Christie at least has, like, you know, fat Jersey guy vibes, which, like, immediately should make him more likable, especially in this group of charlatans.
That's what I mean.
But he's too busy being like, oh, sir, Trump ruined democracy, and I'm here to restore it. Like, he's too busy doing that shit.
But that's what I mean. That big a loser is still better than these. I mean, not that any of them are good.
Cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture.
Oh, God, Vivek would be a crypto guy.
The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas. You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote, ensure economic freedom for Americans, end quote.
That's good. I love
Won't it
freedom.
also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time. Our regulations need to catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that this is just another example of the administrative state gone too far.
He's such, oh my God, oh God.
The people who we elect to run the government.
Look at Ron.
Damn, Ron's looking powerful.
Even
That's a powerful
actually
stance
running
from
the
Ron.
government.
Why is he doing that?
It is the bureaucrats in those three-letter agencies that are writing regulations that Congress never gave them the authority to write. And the good news is a U.S. president can absolutely fix that. That takes a U.S. president with a spine.
Yeah, he's really going to win over everybody by saying we need to regulate cryptocurrency. Like, the 78-year-old racist Alabama man that's watching is like, why is that terrorist Muslim man on television?
Why is he talking about a thing I don't know?
Yeah, talking to me about cryptocurrency. He's like, you're not fucking voting for this guy. Get out of here. I can't even say his name. What the hell?
Dude, he's a dork.
He really is. He is so...
He makes me want to bully.
He is so Reddit, dude. He's the most, like, right-wing Reddit candidate out there. He is, like... even Pete Buttigieg, who is, like, the neoliberal version of this... Even he had, like, the stage presence to know when to not be, like, annoying.
Yeah, he was stealing Obama. He was doing karaoke Obama, basically.
Yeah. And it doesn't work because Obama had... You know,
he
love him or hate him, but he was swagged out.
He was cool. He was cool.
He got that Muslim swag.
He had that Muslim swag, dude.
Yeah,
he had a lot of time to think about saying cool stuff while he was praying.
You're out of time. 15 seconds, Governor.
Well, he was extra. He was doing one extra. Yeah, he's like, he's like, I love Islam and Allah. That's why I do it 6 times a day.
Absolutely regulate your purchases. On day one as president,
you about
we take the idea of central bank digital currency and we throw it in the trash can. It'll be dead on arrival.
Gotta get a break. I have a whole second hour to get to. It's exciting. And when we come back, we got a big
exciting. No, it's not. Dude, there's nothing. Dude.
No,
you could not at gunpoint make me fucking clap for Ron DeSantis. No self-respecting Republican should ever do that, okay?
It's so funny to be wearing fake heels and being hiding heels and
highlighted the debate so far. 3-minute exchange. All right, let's
Takes
see.
an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for.
this bitch is dumb. He's fat. He's a dumb bitch.
Now, Nikki Haley is like technically the only one that gains from these debates, which is really shitty for Ron DeSantis because like she's the reasonable Republican,
Right.
And now like the Koch brothers have actually started backing the Koch brother, and their foundation literally has decided like Ron DeSantis sucks, and now they're going with Nikki.
He doesn't have the sauce.
Yeah, she's second in line with donors.
Right
Which is
there,
terrible. Terrible for Ron.
Hold on.
Let me just say something here. You know,
Wait, it's on the CW? What is going on? Wait, what?
They're doing picture-in-picture with One Tree
Trees
Hill
are a threat to
reruns.
us. You look at what came across the southern border. What worries me the most are those that came from Iran, from Yemen, from Lebanon. Those areas where they say death to America. That's where you want to be careful. It's not about a religion. It's about a fact that certain countries are dangerous and are threats to us. A president has one job, and that's to keep Americans safe. And that's what we've got to do, is make sure that we have good national security in that process. And that's the way you should look at it, is where the terrorist threats are, how we're going to deal with it, and what we're doing about it. And the biggest threat we have right now is communist China. But you have to also look at what Iran and Russia are doing as well. And we need to be paying attention to that. That's why we have to focus on things like cyber, on space, on artificial intelligence, and not just the regular things that we've always focused on.
It's not just terrorism, though.
I mean,
That's
they all
important.
agree.
But
This
look
is
what's
like the
happened in
shittiest
Europe.
part about it is that like you just have a bunch of people who agree with one another trying to be like, I'm more racist than you. And like the funniest part is if they actually were competing on a racism Olympics, like that kind of would be interesting to watch. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Who could say the hardest R?
yeah, who
Who
could
really roll their R?
It would be like unearthing tombs to find like new, previously unheard for 100 years slurs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what I want to know.
Dusting off an old book.
Yeah.
This is what we used to call
You had
gay
some of
people.
the squad wanted to import 300,000 people from the Gaza Strip. I said, no, we're not taking anyone from
said
Gaza
no. He's so
because of the
sassy.
anti-Semitism and because they reject American
God.
culture.
He's trying
So we've
to
got to get
control,
smart
dude.
about this. We cannot let the United
I love also the Israel stuff has made conservatives so funny because they're like, they literally are like, yeah, if someone says like Hitler is awesome, then that's fine. But God forbid you say Israel is doing genocide, then you should be killed. You should be killed because there is no free speech in this country, actually. I decided there's only free speech for Hitler. Literally Hitler. Only he can do anti-Semitism. You can't even say Israel's doing genocide.
Local law enforcement to enforce those ICE warrants. And it shocks me that nobody in the Republican Party is talking about it because there are 1 million then officials, law enforcement officials in this country. And against that backdrop, we absolutely have the ability to deport anybody who's in this country illegally.
Thank you,
we
Mr.
need to be talking about it
Ramaswamy.
more in this country.
Thank you. Governor Christie.
I actually did that as governor of South Carolina.
Governor Christie asked last night in Iowa whether he would be a dictator if he wins a second term in office.
Back in the day.
Quipped,
What,
no,
Nikki Haley?
quote,
Nikki Haley's
except
still
for
hot.
day one,
You would smash
promising
Nikki
to
Haley?
seal the southern border. He has also
I'm not gonna
pledged to
comment on
begin
that,
the
but
largest deportation operation in
not.
American history, saying that migrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of
I
our
just like
country.
seeing a fat guy
He
up
has
here.
pledged to round up and expel an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. What do you make of that plan?
See that now they're going to do a racism
I think
off.
it's completely predictable. I mean, look, he's made it very clear. There's no mystery to what he wants to do. He started off his campaign by saying, I am your retribution. 8 years ago, he said, I am your voice. This is an angry, bitter man who now wants to be back as president because he wants to exact retribution on anyone who has disagreed with him, anyone who has tried to hold him to account for his own
you're
conduct.
running for the Republican
And
Party,
every
dog.
one of
Just
these
say you would be way more racist. Be like, I'm gonna
11's not enough.
yeah, I'm gonna bring in undocumented immigrants so I can deport them. Is what you're supposed to
Three
say.
colleagues on this stage, when asked
He's like,
if
11
he would be
million? How about
convicted
20?
of federal felonies, would they still support him, raise their hand, looked into the camera, and let everybody know that they would still support him, even if convicted of federal felonies? Federal felonies, by the way. Federal felonies which involve our election process, federal felonies which involve...
He's like constantly talking about like the He's constantly talking about like, oh, Trump's, you know, attempts to.
You're right. It's sad. It's sad.
Dismantle our democracy. It's
over.
like, shut up, dude.
You're right. Seeing him there's like would be like seeing fucking Mitt Romney there. It's over.
Yeah,
the
it's
time's
done.
over, boys.
It's done. Just lean into it. If he was like funny and like was just suspiciously had like a thick ass Italian accent out of nowhere, you know, like a New Jersey accent, like, yeah, I'm gonna
do. His hair out.
I'm gonna start deporting people that don't even look white. You know, that's
fucking
like,
up the neighborhood.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like he would literally get. I mean, his polling results would look way better. He's just so unpopular. At the top of the hour, however, there's another unpopular thing. It's a 3-minute ad break, which I'm gonna run right now. There it is. He has not learned that the Liz Cheney strap fucking sucks. No, I think he's just like angling for a book deal and an MSNBC spot.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis. Thank you. Governor DeSantis. Donald Trump would be older on day one of his second presidency than Joe Biden was on day one of his first. You have said Trump is not the same man he was when he ran in 2016. Your campaign is running ads showing Trump confused. And you have said he has, quote, lost the zip on his fastball. You seem to be saying Donald Trump is no longer mentally fit to be president. Is that what you think?
Look,
lost the zip on his fastball.
Father Time is undefeated.
What is this, 1953? He sounds like Captain America. What the fuck? He's lost the pep in his step.
And so we have an opportunity to do a next generation of leaders and really be able to move this country forward. We also need a president that can serve 2 terms. I don't think Donald Trump, I think he's going to have, I don't think he'd be able to get elected. The Democrats want him to be the nominee. We see that. They are going to turn the screws the minute, if he got the nomination,
but do you think he's
you're going to see it.
Fit to be president?
I think we need to have somebody younger. I think when you get up to 80, I don't think it's a job for that. But let me just respond to some of the things there.
Fucking base.
Look, the media's making a big deal about what he said about some of his comments. I would just remind people, that is not how he governed. He didn't even fire Dr. Fauci. He didn't fire Christopher Wray. He didn't clean up the swamp. He said he was going to drain it. He did not drain it. He said he was going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it. We don't have the wall. He did say in 2016 he'd have the largest deportation program in history. He deported less than Barack Obama did when Barack Obama was president. So some of these policies he ran on in 16, I was cheering him on then, but he didn't deliver it. Here's what I can promise people. 100% of the things I promised as governor, I delivered on those promises.
100%.
I beat the left time and time again, and that's what I'll do for you as president.
Not
we
Disney,
got to start
bitch.
winning again as
Mickey
a party.
fucking
Yes,
put
win
his
the
big
election,
boot in your
but
ass.
we've got to start getting these issues. I will go in and wreak havoc on this bureaucracy. You will see people fired, and we are going to bring a reckoning for how this government handles it.
You're fired. I'm going to say you're fired.
Chris, you had your chance.
Bro, if you're screeching for Ron DeSantis, you should be institutionalized immediately. If you're going woo about Ron DeSantis, anything that he said,
is he fit to be president or isn't he? The rest of the speech is interesting, but completely non-responsive. And if we were in a courtroom, they'd strike the answer and say, Governor DeSantis.
No, they wouldn't. They would say that
you're a smart
they would
man.
Argue that
No, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
They would
Chris.
strike the answer because you're not answering.
You just don't like. You have your thing.
Is he fit or isn't he? No, I don't have my thing.
We don't.
He's the thing. Is he
fit
or isn't he?
Do
you're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody couldn't get elected. That's up to the people.
Rich is getting his ass shit
Ron, is he fit or isn't he? Ron, is he fit?
I think we have an opportunity to do somebody.
he's playing to the mods. He's like, mods. Get this fat man off my back.
Stop. I'm going to come to you. Finish.
Look, Father Time is undefeated. I don't know how he would score on a test, but I know this. We have an opportunity to nominate someone and elect someone for 2 terms who's going to be spitting nails on day one and for 8 years deliver you big results. We should not nominate somebody who's almost 80 years old.
He's afraid
he's getting
to answer.
No, I'm not.
You have to either you're afraid or you're not listening.
No, it's not.
There's a simple question.
Let's go.
No one can hear you. They can't hear you. You finish, and then you get it back.
All right.
You know, look, I'm a simple guy. Okay? I hear the question, and I answer it. Is he fit or isn't he? I'll concede you're fit, Ron. You're a new generation. You're 44 years old. I wish I was still 44 years old. Okay?
45.
So, well, congratulations. I'd still take 45.
Yeah, this is Italian on Italian violence. Now that I think about it,
the problem with my 3 colleagues. They're afraid to offend. And let me tell you something. If you're afraid to offend Donald Trump,
he's the #1 Trump dick rider there.
Then what are you going to do when you sit across from President Xi, you sit across from the Ayatollah, you sit across from Putin? You have to be willing to offend with the truth.
Okay.
And answer the question. Fit or unfit?
Okay, listen.
Fit or unfit?
I promised Ron DeSantis a minute and not a full minute.
I've got
a second.
It is not about offending.
You can weigh in and then we're moving
It's
on.
about pointing out, do you want to elect somebody who will be older than Biden was when he went in 2021? I don't think he's as bad as Biden was at all, but I do think that over a 4-year period, it is not a job for somebody that's pushing 80. We need somebody that's younger. We need somebody that's going to be able to go in there and clean house on day one and do it for 2 terms. And I'll be able to do that.
Here's my issue with all 3 of my other colleagues on this debate stage.
He's the only one who's willing to suck Trump
have been licking Donald
raw.
Trump's boots for years for money and endorsements. Ron DeSantis, you've been a great governor, but you would have never been one without actually begging Donald Trump for that endorsement.
And you attacked him in your book a year ago.
Same thing with Chris Christie as a lobbyist, begging them for COVID money for his special interests in New Jersey, prepping him for the debates last time around. These people are now Monday morning quarterbacking some decision he made. I think the real enemy is not Donald Trump. It's not even Joe Biden. It is the deep state that at least Donald Trump attempted to take on. And if you want somebody who's going to speak truth to power, then vote for somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. Why am I the only person on the stage, at least, who can say that January 6th now does look like it was an inside job? That the government lied to us for 20 years about Saudi Arabia's
Finally,
involvement
some
in
action.
9/11. That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory.
It's sad
but a
because,
basic
like, the
statement of
constituency for that is, like,
Democratic
diminishing because Tucker
platform.
Carlson no longer
that
has
the
a show.
2020 election
But he's doing the
was
Tucker Carlson
indeed
hit.
stolen by big tech. That the 2016 election, the one that Trump won for sure, was also one that was stolen from him by the national security establishment.
He won it.
That actually put up the Trump-Russia collusion.
That was also
argument. It was
stolen? He
false.
won it, but
there's a
he
reason
still
why
stole
I'm
it
the
from him?
only person
That'll
on
do
the
it,
stage
sir.
who can
Thank
say
you.
these things. That's what it's going to take, not people who are licking his boots one time and now Monday morning quarterbacking him and criticizing him when it's convenient.
Governor Christie. You do not favor a ban on trans medical treatments for minors, saying it's a parental rights issue.
Let's play the hits.
The surgeries done on minors involve cutting off body parts at a time when these kids cannot even legally smoke a cigarette.
It's just not.
Kids who go from puberty
It's not
blockers to
true.
cross-sex hormones are at a much greater likelihood of winding up sterile.
The only thing they're going to end up doing is, like, fucking ensuring that, like, cis girls that have, like, a weird form of breast cancer that develops before the age of 18 can't get their, like, life-saving surgery. Like, sorry, you have to fucking die now.
We can't cut off tits at all.
Yeah, it's illegal now.
Not more. And less involvement with government, not more in government involvement in people's lives. And you know what, Megan? I trust parents. And we're out there saying that we should empower parents in education. We should empower parents to make more decisions about where their kids go to school. I agree. We should empower parents to be teaching the values that they believe in their homes without the government telling them what those values should be. And yet we want to take other parental rights away. I'm sorry. As a father of 4, I believe there is no one who loves my children more than me.
Did you listen to yourself
There's
just
no
now?
one who loves my children
I love the fucking
more than my
weirdo
wife.
transphobes who are
There's
like,
no one who cares more
I
about
can't believe
their
you
success
corrected the record with the
and
truth.
healthy
Did you hear yourself?
Not some-
A
you
million
teach jokers
million
down at
young
Congress.
girls
You
and
teach them
boys are getting their
dreams to pick
fucking
a
shit
teacher.
chopped
And
off
up
every
until 2
day.
days
I am the
ago,
most
they
schizophrenic
couldn't
person in this
promote somebody
chat,
in the
and now you
military
have
in
to
the
listen to
United
what I
States
have to
Senate
say
who
about it.
earned their new rank. And we're going to put my
It literally is
health-
like the Republican Party's policy, unironically, is like being dictated by the most insane person at the metro station.
Yeah, no one
Like-
gives a fuck about. That's the thing. Like, statistically, how many people is this even fucking affecting? Who gives a fuck? It's insane that this is all they fucking talk about. That video of Trump where he's like, you see that where he's trying to talk about? He's like, I talk about tax cuts.
Yeah, nobody
Like,
cares.
No one cares. I talk about this trans stuff. Everybody goes crazy. He just says it. It's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
This is fucking ridiculous.
But this authority, the authority they're going to take from you next, you're not going to like. I'll stand up for parents each and every time.
So there are
Excuse me,
laws banning smoking or drinking by a certain age.
Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Let me tell you something. I have a follow-up question for him, and you guys are going to get to weigh in, okay? Here's my follow-up question. You talk about parental rights. Let's talk about them. When you were governor in 2017, you signed a law that required new guidelines for schools dealing with transgender students. Those guidelines required schools to accept a child's preferred gender identity, even if the minor's parents objected.
Dumbass. What do you mean?
And it said that there is no duty for schools to notify parents if their son or daughter changes their gender identity, allowing this serious issue to remain a secret between the school and a child. How is any of that pro-parental rights?
By the way, that's simply not true.
You're doing what you accuse me of, Chris. It is absolutely true.
That's simply not true. That's simply not true. That law was put into effect in 2018 and regulated in 2018 after I was out of office, Megan. No, we did not, Megan. We did not issue those guidelines, and you're wrong about that. Simply wrong. I have stood up each and every time.
So I think if this is one.
Wait, I don't get it. Like he said, parents should be made like it's parental responsibility, parental decision, or decision made by doctors. Like, or he says the government shouldn't interfere in the decisions of American citizens, and then he's like, but they also should.
That
like,
we disagree
I didn't fucking make that.
But the minute you start to take those rights away from parents, you don't know that slippery slope, what rights are going to be taken away next, and what's going to be focused on.
As a parent, you do not have the right to abuse your kids. This is cutting off their genitals. This is mutilating these minors. These are irreversible procedures. And this is something that other countries in Europe, like Sweden, once they started doing it, they saw it did incalculable damage. They've shut it down. I signed legislation in Florida banning the mutilation of minors because it is wrong. We cannot allow—
this is not like this has not been a motivator for people to go out and vote at all. And I get why, because it's like, sure, maybe the people that are in that room that are also cheering for Ron DeSantis, chat, remember, they don't necessarily represent— Are you trying to leave?
No.
Oh, they don't necessarily represent the fucking the broader American public, or even the Republican Party for that matter. But nobody gives a fuck about this, and time again, this loses. Okay, this loses votes because people literally are like, it's gross. This is gross. Stop talking about baby dicks.
Little baby, chopping off little baby dicks.
It's literally like the intactivist conundrum. Okay, intactivists, myself included, have an honorable cause to stop circumcision and medical practice that is unfair, unjustifiable, disgusting.
Let's talk about something fucking important.
Yeah,
keeping children's cocks as is.
Yeah. However, when you fucking make that your life's goal, you're only talking about baby dicks, dog. You're literally, you got baby dick on the mind.
Baby dick on the brain.
And that's not a good fucking, that does not make a good political movement.
Look. You're right.
Yeah. You can't be talking about baby dicks left and right. These guys,
you have to pick your spots.
They looked at that and went, no, it's baby dick time. Like, that's all I care about is like teenagers' penises and pussies. Like, what the fuck? It's nasty, dude.
It's fucking gross.
It's a fucking gross ass thing.
Statistically, how many people are we even talking about?
There's just, it's like so insanely marginal, not even a thing at all.
Yeah.
And also, like, not a thing that you can do in any state, as a matter of fact. Like, with respect to just like a top surgery or bottom surgery under the age of 18, and even on the edge cases, it's like the only plastic surgery that kids get are like rhinoplasties and fucking boob jobs and shit when they're 16.
Right. But
of course, they don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah. Rich girls on Long Island get a nice nose job. No. Is that real?
No, it's not. But it feels real.
Feels real.
Reasonable peace deal in Ukraine.
Oh wait, hold on. Where the fuck were we? I'm missing our CW sponsored
Little
News Nation
girls,
sponsored show.
you didn't do it. And there was this going on. I was actually just in South Carolina. Some of the legislators told me at the time there were boys going into the girls. That's the whole reason why they did it.
No.
And so they say when she does that explanation that doesn't hold water. And this is the upstate of South Carolina. I signed the bill. I protected the girls.
South Carolinians?
She did not do it.
Do you know
I know
South Carolinians? Because South Carolinians, no. You are not going to talk about my state like that, because I will tell you for a fact, South Carolinians never allowed that to happen, and we did not have that issue at the time.
So are you for mutilating kids and eyes? Kids are getting this done before 18. There's proof out there. So goes for puberty blockers.
But hold on one second.
Puberty blockers are an entirely separate conversation. And and you know that too. That's why you immediately shifted the attention over to puberty blockers, which happens with medical consent, with parental consent, parental supervision, and a doctor. If you think that you, some dumb fuck with an anonymous account online, know better about like child health care than a fucking medical professional who has literally dedicated his life to doing this, then, Sorry, luckily you have no say in the matter. Suck my dick, okay? Suck my
cock.
Unfortunately circumcised penis.
Yeah, dude, that's so fucking
very
embarrassing.
nice. But, you know, they took that from me.
It's so embarrassing you're fucking circumcised.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's Islam too, but
He
still.
made a point of referring to
Muslims
Ambassador
get
Haley
sucked
by
up.
her
What?
given
You
first
didn't know
name,
that?
Nimrata.
No, of course.
Even though she's gone
Wow,
by
and I was
Nikki
starting to
for
come
her whole
around.
life.
Well, my whole deal is if Nikki
You're gonna do
Haley,
an
all
Andrew
people
Tate
should
style,
know how to pronounce my name
reversion to
correctly. The rest of
Islam.
the news media can learn it.
It is
My
interesting.
deal is I'll call her Nikki when she can say my own name right. That's our little fun side bet there. Here's what I will say.
That's
is deeper.
our
I don't
little
question her
fun
faith,
side bet.
but I question her authenticity.
God, I
and I
hate
think
this
that's
guy.
deeper here. We were just talking about the trans issue. This is a symptom of a deeper cancer in American life.
Cancer? Why does
Identity
his fucking
politics.
jaw pop out?
This new religion that says your race, your gender, and your sexuality are your identity. It is anti-American. It is meritocratic. It's anti-meritocratic.
No
and
more
it is dividing
gender.
this country
Only man.
to a breaking point.
Not even
And
women.
I've
Fuck
spoken about
that.
this to the left. My books are all about this. I've preached this to the left, but it's even worse when Republicans try to play the same game. We're talking about that trans issue. And Nikki Haley's campaign launch video sounded like a woke Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light ad talking about how she would kick in heels. At the first debate, she said that only a woman can get this job done. That's what she said. After the third debate, when I criticized Ronna
God,
McDaniel
he is
after
such a
failed
school shooter.
He
Like,
fucking stinks.
he's such a his aesthetics and his politics are like a school shooter who aged out of the demographic.
Yeah.
Like he's literally like, a woman brought up gender in her
Too timid to commit sexual assault, but wants
corrupt. This is a woman who will send your kids to die so she can buy
Just
a
like that, he
bigger
brings me
house.
right back in.
This is the
That's
problem.
good. They got props.
Politics.
That is
more
really,
effectively
really-
than
that's a
Kamala
great
Harris.
point. It
It's
says
a
it
form
right
of
there.
intellectual fraud, and it actually needs to end. There's our donor puppet masters wielding
awesome.
their puppet right up here tonight. This is how this game is played. The puppet masters put up their puppet, and I reject the use of identity politics in this party. It has been a cancer coming from the left, and I'm sick and tired of the double standards. The people of this country are too, having two X chromosomes.
This is so stupid. Like, Republicans love identity politics, dumbass. Why are you shitting on them doing it? Like, the whole dog, like, you being there's two Indian candidates up there, okay? Like, that's identity politics for the Republican Party.
Because his thing
The
is like
fuck?
he's the good Indian.
That's what I mean.
Why he's doing it.
That's
He's like,
literally
yeah.
like him playing the role of like Indian guy that loves white supremacy, like he's like he's the Israel
classic kind of guy.
That is
A
yes,
classic kind of
yeah.
guy.
You
to
can
be fair.
anytime write anything about Israel, and you will see that guy 1,000 times. Oh, my favorite, Tom
Enforcement
Fitton.
agencies
Tom
have
Fitton
abused
is
his
dick in his
civil
mouth.
rights.
Yeah, he's
for
so
the
hot.
last 8
He's
years
so
by,
jacked.
among other things, spying on him and now prosecuting him while having treated Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden with kid gloves. A recent Gallup poll shows that Americans
they let him
think
zoom in
more
for
highly
this?
of the U.S. Postal Service than they do the FBI or Justice Department. What would you do as president
Yeah,
to
because the FBI's
restore
not
the faith of
delivering
the
fucking
American people
medicine, dog.
in
That's
these
why.
agencies?
Well, first off, I'm the only person on this stage who's actually done a job in the Department of Justice. I was the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey in the 5th largest office in this country, appointed by President Bush on September 10th, 2001. And it was
Damn,
an
he did
extraordinary
9/11.
time in this country to be on the
He's
front
like,
lines of
he's like,
fighting the
I was
greatest
hired
attack against our
suspiciously
country
right before
since
that
Pearl
other
Harbor.
thing.
He let me
And I'm
pick
proud
the book he
of the
was
7
gonna
years
read
I
and
spent
pretend he just
in the
found out
Justice
about it.
Department. And one of the reasons I am is because I had an Attorney General when I came in named John Ashcroft. And John Ashcroft stood up and told each and every one of us our job was to do one thing, to make sure
9/11.
justice was done every day, regardless of
I was
partisanship,
do one thing.
regardless
9/11.
of gender.
It's very
or race
important you
or any other
understand. We're
consideration.
about to do 9/11.
And that's what we did for
Don't
7 years.
fuck this up,
and at
you
a time when our
meatball.
country
We
was
bought
at
a lot
its
of
greatest
machine
moment
guns.
of
We bought a
danger
lot of fucking
in the
tanks.
last 40 years.
9/11's got to go through.
We did exactly that, and there was not another domestic terrorist attack on this soil. So what I would do as president, having had that experience, and the only one who's had that experience, is to pick an attorney general who will absolutely do the same thing that John Ashcroft
9/11
did.
too.
Yeah,
To
we
pick
didn't-
He's
U.S.
saying-
attorneys who
he's
will
saying we gotta
only
figure-
care about making sure that
we've lost
justice
touch
is
with our
done
patriotic
without
ways. We gotta
regard
do
to
another one.
any other
Yeah.
consideration
Chris
but the
Christie
facts
bought
that are
a
presented
million
and
American
whether
flag
someone
bumper
is guilty
stickers.
Yeah.
beyond a
We need a
reasonable doubt and the
U-911
government
to
can
unload those.
prove it. We have had
He's the guy who's like shorting.
Eric
He's the guy who's shorting airplane stocks right before now.
And Jeff Sessions.
What would be a good
and now
date for
our current Attorney General, who have not met that standard.
Yeah.
And the only way you restore people's faith in the justice system is to put someone like that in charge of the Justice Department, and then as president to get the hell out of the way on anything that involves criminal investigations. The president's involved in
I don't think
trying to do
11 can
something
be
and put their
there.
thumb on the scales. Donald Trump says he will do. That makes people
I don't know.
much less likely to
410.
believe our justice system.
420 would be funny,
Thank
I
you.
guess.
Governor DeSantis, next one's for you. Back to
8-8.
We just do October 7th. We just steal
concerned
Israel's
about the
thunder.
legitimacy of elections. A federal judge just
would be
ruled that
fucked up.
Pennsylvania
That would be
must
fucked
count undated mail-in ballots.
10-10 maybe?
And unlike
10-9, I
Alabama,
don't
many
know.
states still don't require any identification to vote. What should states
That
do
is
now
fucked.
to increase election integrity and voter confidence for
What the?
Oh shit! It's shorting out.
What the fuck was that?
That was weird, dude.
What the fuck was that?
What if fucking someone comes over it? This is it's Donald Trump.
Did they get hacked?
What if Donald Trump banes this whole thing?
Wait, I have to. I'm gonna restart it. Hold up. Did they get hacked or something?
No. The deep state.
That prosecutes people for violating election laws. The result of that in both 2020 and 2022, we counted millions and millions of votes on
folks,
election night, produced the results,
off
it was
this stream right
transparent,
now and
and everybody
go to
was happy.
Netflix
That is not
and
happening
watch
throughout
Fat
this country. But
Rascal.
let me tell you this as the nominee. I think it's important. Not every state's where we need it to be. There is ballot harvesting in places like Nevada, all these places. I am not going to fight with one hand tied behind my back. I'm going to have organizations in all the swing states.
What was that?
If they're harvesting, we're harvesting. If they're Zuckerbucks, we're Zuckerbucks. We are going to exploit whatever the rules are. I favor changing the rules to be like Florida and some of the other states that have done a good job. But until then, we have to do that. And then just on the Justice Department and FBI. I mean, I remember being, in Iraq working with FBI on the ground and being, and then I was a special assistant. I used to have such a high regard for these agencies. What they did to Donald Trump with the Russia collusion was one of the biggest abuses of power in the history of our country. These agencies need to be cleaned out. With me, you'll have a new FBI director on day one. We're going to clear out the DOJ, the IRS, all these
He always
places.
loves LARPing, like he fucking served, you know what I mean? He was a JAG lawyer, like that's all he did was like, all this motherfucker did was basically like sanction off torture.
Right. Do JAG lawyers handle like if they get in a
rules
fight?
of engagement, like what level of torture is like allowed?
I was looking at my.
I see.
What kind of torture is like permissible? Rules of engagement shit. You know what I mean? It's just like very stupid. Isn't that verbatim what Trump said about the swamp? I mean, yeah, they're doing the same shit. All right, I'm gonna go pee real quick.
All right, I'll hold it down.
You
and
hold
then
it down,
and then I'm probably gonna take off. Okay. But I'll do you this one last solid.
Hell yeah. Well, if you're naked in it,
I'm not fully naked. Is that TOS?
Damn, dude, this is the only thing you show from the calendar, you son of a bitch. You don't even want to fucking show the rest?
No.
Okay, this is incredibly tasteful, dude.
Yeah, see?
This kind of, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of blows out our shit.
Of course. You motherfuckers can't see me. I'm a true artist.
That's fire.
That's good, right?
That's the best one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go to Stavi.biz, folks. A
May
great calendar.
I see your titties.
Yeah.
Get head brewery.
Get brewery.
Munch.
That's right. It's a beautiful product. A nice way for you to keep track of the days. Anyway, I got to get the fuck out of here. My car's here.
Right.
Love you, buddy.
All right.
Thanks
Don't
for
show
having
the camera, the fucking
I
phones.
won't.
All right.
All right.
Peace, brother.
See you soon.
It's disgusting to see what happened. You know, if this had been the KKK that was doing protests, every one of those college presidents would have been up in arms. This
and
is
they would be
just as
defending it
bad.
unconditionally.
The idea that they would go and allow that kind of pro-Hamas protest or agree with the genocide of Jews and try and say that they needed context on that, there is no context to that. This is what we need to do to deal with it. First of all, we have got to get foreign money out of our universities. You've got Arab money, you've got Chinese money, you've got others. We need to go to every university and say you either take foreign money or you take American money, but the days of taking both
Wait, I don't get
over.
it. So like Israeli money is good though? Like what do you mean? We can't take any foreign money in our college campuses. Only money from Israel, no Arab money.
Definition of anti-Semitism. If you don't think that Israel has a right to exist, that is anti-Semitic. We will change the definition so that every government, every school has to acknowledge the definition for what it is. The third thing is we really do need to ban TikTok once and for all. And let me tell you why. For every 30 minutes that someone watches TikTok, every day, they become 17% more anti-Semitic, more pro-Hamas based on that. We now know that 50% of adults 18 to 25 think that Hamas was warranted in what they did with Israel. That's a problem. When campuses also don't go and protect when they have these rallies and you've got students that are scared, we need to go to these universities and say, if you're not going to protect these students, if you're not going to acknowledge anti-Semitism, we'll take your tax-exempt status away. That'll fix it, and that'll take care of it for good.
Staying with you, Ambassador Haley. On October 6th, the Israeli government...
How do you measure that? Like, what do they got? Like, they got...
According to the New York Times,
they got, like, merchant memes? And did they just put it in front of you? And every 30 minutes, they look at it and they're like, do you like this? And the guy's like, I'm thinking I agree with this 17% more.
Blinking red lights everywhere. And that the threat level has, quote, gone to a whole nother level since October 7th. Which of the threats facing our country do you worry could blindside us?
What worries me and what keeps me up at night is what happens between now and Election Day while Joe Biden's in office. That's what worries me more than anything else. But I'll tell you that America right now is acting like it's September 10th. We better remember what September 12th felt like, because it only takes one. And whether you're looking at open borders that are allowing people to come in, Iran knows the easiest way to get to America is through the southern border. And we're not doing anything to stop it.
Remember 9/11.
We've got to get the foreign infiltration out of our country, whether it's in our schools, whether it's on our social media, whether it's we need to stop all foreign lobbying that's happening to members of Congress, and we need to start securing America again. Until we do that, we are going to be at threats. We've got to look at Iran, China, and Russia want to destroy the West. We have to start acting strong again. We've got to start protecting Americans. Right now, Americans don't feel protected, and we're not doing anything to strengthen it. So Joe Biden continues to be a problem. That'll change on Election Day.
Governor DeSantis, if China invades Taiwan, would you send American troops, as President Biden has said he would do?
We will be able to deter that from happening. I think that's the important thing. We need a strategy of denial so that we're deterring Xi's ambitions.
What if it doesn't work?
It's going to work. Taiwan's an ally. We have longstanding American policy, and you know how that's done, and we will follow that. But here's the thing. Taiwan is important not just because of semiconductors. It's important because if China is able to break out of this first island chain, they're going to be able to dominate commerce in the entire Indo-Pacific. They will use that to export authoritarianism all around the world, including here in the United States. You look at some of these guys, actually some of them that are supporting Nikki on Wall Street, they grovel to China. Anytime something happens, they got to go do that. So they already exert a huge amount of authority over this country. It will get a lot worse. So deterring China's ambitions is the #1 national security task that I will do as president, and we will succeed. The 21st century needs to be an American century. We cannot let it be a Chinese century.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
I think we need to be clear on, I'll be clear on the same issue, if I may.
I'm coming to you next on Taiwan. You said, if you want to stop Xi from invading Taiwan, quote, let's open a branch of the NRA in Taiwan and put an AR-15 in the hands of every family and train them how to use it.
I love him. That's so fire.
A taste of American exceptionalism, end quote. The National Police.
He's like a secret op. He wants everyone in Taiwan. He wants Taiwan's mass shootings to go up.
It's a serious policy proposal, and if it isn't, why do you keep repeating it?
Well, it's part of a broader deterrence strategy, and so I think I'm going to respectfully disagree with Ron here. I think the next U.S. president needs to be crystal clear that at least for the foreseeable future, the U.S. will absolutely defend Taiwan. And it is with that clarity that we actually achieve deterrence. But I have a broader strategy than that. We need to get on side in our relationship with India, take it to the next level. India has to be able to block the Andaman Sea, which is where China gets most of its Middle Eastern oil supplies. That's critical. I also do believe the Second Amendment is a critical way of preventing foreign autocrats from being able to it's worked in America. Why wouldn't it work in Taiwan? So it is part of a broader strategy. But I do think that we need to be specific about our deterrent strategy, or else Xi Jinping is just encroaching by the day. And the reason why we're not doing it for China, I want to be crystal clear, is because we're scared. Why are we scared? Because we depend on them for our modern way of life. Why do we depend on them for our modern way of life? It's because Nikki Haley's latest friends like Larry Fink have created commingled economies with BlackRock telling Exxon and Chevron they can't drill here, while being a shareholder of PetroChina, not applying those same constraints in China. So it is our economic dependence on China that makes us scared. If that were a Russian spy balloon, we'd have shot it down in an instant. If that were a Russian spy base in Cuba, we'd be actually going hard on them instead of turning the other way as we are with China. So it comes back down to that economic dependence. We cannot depend on them for our pharmaceuticals, our semiconductors, and people have been lied to for a long time. Our own military, the F-35 jets that we make in this country, depend on China, and it's going to take an outsider to fix that broken establishment.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Ambassador Haley, would you like to respond?
I mean, when it comes to China and Taiwan, the one way that we keep China from going into Taiwan is, one, make sure that we win in Ukraine, that we protect our friends, but also let China know that they'll be hell to pay if they go into Taiwan. They need to know that there is going to be a force that's going to go against them. And they need to know it's not just going to be the United States. That is why we need to build our partnerships with India, with South Korea, with Japan, with the Philippines, with Australia. We need to start pulling that alliance together. And the first way we do that is we need to make sure that on day one we look at the fact, if China pulled the rug out from under us tomorrow, would we be ready? Think about what happened during COVID. Everybody told you to wear a mask. They were made in China. Everybody told you to take a COVID test. They were made in China. Everybody went and, I mean, everything that happened. If you go to the drugstore, all those medicines are made in China. We have to make sure that we are not relying on China for anything related to our national security, which means let's start focusing on doing deals with our friends now.
Thank you, Ambassador. Governor Christie, I'd like you to weigh in on that. And do you think arming every family in Taiwan with an AR-15 is a plausible policy?
You know, I don't think we have constitutional authority over Taiwan to give them a Second Amendment. I think they can only do that for themselves. But look, I want to be really clear. Once again, I want to play the role of actually answering your question, which is if China went after Taiwan, you're absolutely right. I would, as president, have us go militarily and defend them. Secondly, I'm not afraid, based upon those economic relationships, to do that, because these economic relationships mean nothing. Nothing. If what's going to happen is that China is going to come and act in that region of the world however they see fit. It's not right. And I'll say this about what I heard from Nikki earlier. She said that Donald Trump was good on trade. He wasn't. And the proof that he wasn't good on trade with China is that all he did was impose tariffs, which raised the prices for every American. You want to know what has contributed to inflation in this country? Yes, it's more government spending. Yes, it's the fact that we're printing too much money. Absolutely. But it is also the increase in prices that were driven by Donald Trump's tariffs. And one last thing. You can't say he was good on trade because he didn't change one Chinese policy in the process. He failed on it.
Thank you, Governor Christie. Governor DeSantis, switching subjects here. For 15 years, Republicans have been burned by politicians' promises to repeal Obamacare. Trump repeatedly promised to replace it with, quote, something terrific, but failed to propose anything. You're now promising something better, but Florida has more uninsured people than almost any other state. Why should Americans trust you more than any other Republicans who've disappointed them on this issue?
Well, I think we have millions of Americans who do not have access to affordable health care. And it's not just getting some type of card and Medicaid, because a lot of times they don't even get access to doctors. Do you actually get access to care? The other thing is we have millions and millions of people who don't have access to good doctors and good hospitals. Florida did not expand Obamacare. I think the states that did that, I think, are struggling financially. So that, yes, we declined to do that, and I don't think that that was the right policy to do. But we are going to go after the cost, You're paying too much for everything. We've actually addressed this in Florida in some ways, but you need price transparency. You need to hold the pharmaceuticals accountable. You need to hold big insurance and big government accountable, and we're going to get that done. I think it's very, very important economically. I think it's very, very important for the country that we get that done.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to, this is a very personal issue to our family. I wanted to take actually a minute to recognize my wife who's here today. Badass surgeon. She did a bunch of cases with cancer survivors earlier today, flew here to be tonight. We'll be back at 7 a.m. in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow, taking care of those patients in the OR. And on the front lines of people who have actually not swallowed for years. And here's something that's awful that's happening in our healthcare system. They'll pay for anything like feeding tubes, doctors to be pill pushers, but for the procedures that can actually make these patients better, we have a broken healthcare system that doesn't pay for it. My wife, Apoorva, in many cases, does not get paid for those procedures. She does them anyway because it's the right thing to do. But that does not work system-wide. So here's the answer. We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a sick care system. We need to start having diverse insurance options in a competitive marketplace that cover actual health, preventative medicine, diet, exercise, lifestyle, and otherwise. And here's how we deliver that. End the antitrust exemptions for health insurance companies. That's where the competitive marketplace begins. That's crony capitalism, and that's the answer.
Okay, through Operation Warp Speed, the Trump administration and private industry...
Dude, I can't watch this. This is so boring. Like, I'm not having a good time with this. I feel like you guys are really into
claims
it,
filed,
but
10% decided, only 8 payouts so far, in a forum with no right to counsel, no hearings, no appeals.
Without Trump, they have
Mr.
nothing.
Trump says he's very proud of Warp Speed. Should he be?
Well, this question specifically on liability goes back to actually Reagan. And Reagan is a president who I admire. Many of us do. I think that reviving that spirit is in many ways going to be good for this country in so many ways. But one of the areas where he erred was this special form of lobbying to say that one kind of manufacturer, a vaccine manufacturer, cannot be sued for their product liability. So I have pledged, it is part of my legislative agenda, we will repeal that, just like we will repeal every other form of crony capitalism. People who have been harmed by those vaccines deserve accountability. They cannot be forgotten Americans.
Alan Wake right now.
And I think one of the top lessons we learned from that COVID pandemic,
I know you guys keep saying this over and over again,
is most important,
but like
in those alleged times of emergency.
Right now. Okay.
If we had been allowed to openly debate the merits of those vaccines, they would have been never mandated in the way that they were.
Like if I'm done with the debate, I'm just going to end it.
We want capitalism and democracy to share the same bed anymore. It's time for a clean divorce. Let companies be companies, but I don't like the crony capitalism. This dates back a long time in both parties. And I think that we need to end the lobbying. And I personally believe that if you have been working in the government, you should not lobby that government for 10 years. If you have been a government elected official doing deals with companies, be they Boeing or be they pharmaceutical companies, you should not join the board of that company for 10 years after. The former chairman of the FDA, the leader commissioner of the FDA, ended up on the board of Pfizer. Nikki Haley did deals with Boeing, ends up on the board of Boeing. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. We need some basic principles that end the corruption in government. That's how we got the health insurance exemptions. That's how we got the pharmaceutical product liability exemptions. We end the corruption.
We need a reckoning for what this government did during COVID-19. That includes the mRNA shots. They put it out. It was experimental. People wanted it. Then the government started trying to mandate it, to say you don't have a right to put food on your table if you don't take an mRNA shot that was under emergency use. They tried to take nurses away. Now, in Florida, we blocked that. We provided protections for everybody so that they wouldn't lose their job. You also have the FDA approving an mRNA shot for 6-month-old babies. There was no data to support that. They're doing it because big pharma will make money. So I'm going to go in there, CDC, NIH, FDA. We're going to clean house. There's going to be a reckoning because right now nobody's been held accountable for any of the damage. And they're going to try to do it again. When I'm president, this will never happen to our country ever again.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. And we will be right back in just a few moments for our closing statements from our 4 candidates at the Republican primary debate.
Did you hear him, Sean,